dad, it was on. So I noticed, throughout college and all that other stuff, like it was on in the background because it was kind of just always on. Like they'd paid so much in syndication. They were rerunning them, for like 2-hour cycles in a row. So I felt like it was 2 hours of Friends and then like 2 hours of Seinfeld.
Did we take for granted how great of a sitcom it was?
That's what I think now.
Okay.
Because when I started really thinking about this after reading these articles, I was like, man, I think with today's primetime sitcoms that are this current crop that's been going on, and we'll go back, I would say the last 5 or 6 years, because in my opinion, there has not been a great sitcom, a traditional sitcom, and I'm not talking about The Office or Parks and Recreation.
No, sitcom, like
a traditional sitcom, a 3-camera sitcom.
Yeah.
I would say kind of How I Met Your Mother.
Right, yeah.
But it still wasn't as funny to me as Friends or Seinfeld. Not even close to that level.
What about Becker?
Oh, God. Becker. Nothing like sitting down and watching 10 seasons of Becker. But, growing up as a kid, you had Cheers. You had The Cosby Show.
Oh, yeah.
You had All in the Family. For my parents' generation, they had like All in the Family and things like that. And you were like the Jeffersons they had and all that stuff, which, we got to see years later. But I felt like there was a great run of sitcoms, like 227 and all that shit. What was the other spinoff of A Different World? Was a spinoff of Cosby Show. Like I felt like you had this great run, and they always seemed to be on Thursday night for some reason, on NBC.
Yeah,
and then you had the Friday night shows, which is a kid, which was like our jam, like Step by Step.
Yeah.
What was the one with Urkel? Like that one.
Oh yeah. Is that on?
Family Matters? Family Matters.
I watched that,
and then there was the
TGIF.
Yeah. So you had all these TGIF shows that you watched, and like as a kid, that was like comforting on a Friday night. You had pizza with your family, and you did that. Thursday nights, as you got a little older, you were dipping into like Friends and Seinfeld and all that stuff. Now, we're stuck with. It's not on the air anymore, but it was like Mike and Molly. The fucking Charlie Sheen show, 2.5 Men. God damn it. The spinoff of that, it's that Chuck Lorre show. Mom is on now with Anna Faris, and it's just like, I
love Allison Janney.
I know, I do too. And I like Anna Faris. I just don't like that show. The latest and greatest, The Great Indoors. Jesus Christ. Kevin Can Wait. Another Kevin James show. He was with a super hot wife.
It's just King of Queens.
It's just King of Queens.
It's like he has the black friend. He works at some dumb normal job. He has a hot wife. And he's like not super nice to her. Like,
and can we be just real about this shit? If you were Kevin James's size and look like Kevin James in real life, you're not getting the hot wife. You're just not. So just wipe that out of your mind.
James,
as a normal job man, because I believe in King of Queens, he was a UPS guy, and in this he was because we gave it a shot. We knew we were talking about the show, so we watched one of them last night. He was a retired cop who's now like a part-time driver, and he was driving around Harry Connick Jr., which was it made it even more depressing. I was
What'd
just
you
like,
say?
oh
the
God.
only thing that could make this show worse is a cameo by
Harry Connick Jr. And that was Kevin Can Wait for me, and I was like, oh God.
Which was
and I like the wife a lot. She's really fucking funny.
Yeah, she was on
Children's Hospital.
Yeah,
which a big fan of that on Adult Swim. But again, not a traditional sitcom. And that's kind of what this generation is stuck with right now. Is these shitty sitcoms, and I don't know what the reason is behind it, because it's not like great sitcoms don't exist or they're not out there. It seems like they're only taking the shows from the same creators. So like you take the creator of 2.5 Men, he does The Mom Show.
Right.
He did How I Met Your Mother.
Right.
So it's like I feel like these networks are only taking the same creators. The only half-hour comedies that I like aren't traditional 3-camera sitcoms like Last Man on Earth. I love Last Man on Earth.
Yeah.
That's a great show,
so
but it's
good.
It's not a traditional 3-camera show.
And is sitcom live audience as well? Okay. So they might have like some weird on location shots, but basically the whole thing is in front of an audience.
In front of a studio audience.
And so that was, that 70s show,
I mean, and for those of you at home who don't know how that works, with a traditional sitcom, you get the script on Monday, all the cast goes in, does a table read. They figure out what works and what doesn't work. Monday, that's Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday, they start working on things with the writers to get the jokes that didn't work on Monday out of there. Thursday, they have a dress rehearsal, and then they shoot on Friday, and in front of a live audience.
Yeah,
and it's a whole thing, and that's.
And they'll change lines like according to how much the audience laughs. And you'll have to like do it again.
Yeah.
And they kind of are like writing on the fly. It's sort of cool. It's kind of boring to watch, but
it's boring to watch them in your audience member
because they do the same thing over and over again. But it's kind of interesting as like a writer or actor or whatever, where you're like, oh,
cool. Yeah, you're still doing in front of a live audience.
Yeah. And this is why some lines might sound like
not
great because they just did a million of them and they just got it rewritten 1 second before they got it and then said it or whatever. So I don't.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they can't get it right anymore, or why there isn't any great sitcoms like there used to be. I don't know if there's too much competition between all these other formats now who are putting out things, or people just don't want to do three camera sitcoms anymore.
Right.
I don't know what the answer.
Does it feel dated a little bit?
I guess, but
because
it's still,
of all these like Last Man on Earth and stuff.
But you take the ratings of these new comedies that have come out for the fall. We'll just take this season for example.
Yeah,
the ratings are still there, and the highest ones are the 3-camera sitcoms still for new comedies. It's not the single camera comedies,
right?
So why they can't get it right, I don't know. But this leads me into understanding why millennials and all this shit still love Friends.
Yeah,
because I think that was the last kind of show that got it right. I think it seemed like a simpler time back then.
Right.
Because Friends took place in an age without social media. You weren't dating through apps. You weren't, it wasn't the pressures and all the shit. See, when you watch it, there's a little nostalgia of how things used to be back in life that there isn't today. Where, there was 6 white people living in New York City, sharing an awesome, amazing apartment.
Not working.
Yeah.
Somehow always knowing to meet at the coffee shop without ever like texting or like telling each
or without
other.
Instagramming or doing a Snapchat or
like
or a story.
Yeah.
Just literally meeting up, talking, hanging out, doing fun shit. Life was fun. Everything was easy. You dated your friends. You dated within your inner circle. Now you don't have that now.
And they got the best people for the job. I don't think anyone, when they started Friends, was like super famous, correct?
No one, yeah.
So they got the best people for the job. And
same as Seinfeld.
Yeah. And people connect with that, I guess. It's really weird. And I think some people would be surprised to find out that like within college circles and like the Betches and Fuck Jerry and my therapist says like are referencing Friends at like a lot.
I hear it
as far as like you're such
more.
a Monica or like
and
I'm
it's
like,
such a Chandler thing to say.
It feels old, but maybe that's what our parents thought when we were like I watched shows that like they make like I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
Or like, do you know what I mean?
So my mom was a huge fan of I Love Lucy. So I used to watch a lot of I Love Lucy. The Michael Landon show. It was about heaven.
Yes.
But I grew up in Atlanta, so it was TBS was a local station for us. So on our local station on TBS, it was Andy Griffith.
Yes.
Highway to Heaven with Michael Landon.
Yeah.
I guess so. I saw like reruns of that, like reruns of the Jeffersons, things like that. So I guess mine is probably Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
Because I felt like I had just missed that as a kid, and then all the reruns came on TBS, and I watched it religiously. And I was trying to think about why I did it, and
so that would be equivalent to like college kids watching
Friends now, for me at least, because as a kid,
I felt right before it.
I missed it.
Okay.
But by the time that rolled around, there wasn't any shows about like middle school and high school experiences for me. And then once
Wonder Years.
Yeah, Wonder Years is another one. So it's just like
not a
but
sitcom, sorry.
I just kind of miss those age range. So like I was watching them later and I was like, oh shit. You know, I would watch Saved by the Bell and I'd seen it 500 fucking times. Every episode I've seen 500 times.
It's comforting.
Yes. And, so, you know, same with Wonder Years and all that stuff. And I think that's what it is now because you don't have anything to connect with as far as sitcoms go.
Yeah.
I think everybody's reconnecting now with Friends where they're like, oh, man, this is great.
It must have been, okay, so if college kids now, like, it must have been, like, in their peripheral or in their background when they were kids. Like, parents watching it or it was on kind of, but they never really like paid attention to it or got what the jokes were.
But now,
and then you revisit it, it feels comfortable, but now you get it.
Yeah,
and you're
and you know now because it
was
went
all
from
speculation,
TBS to Netflix. Well, I mean, look,
right?
Friends is all the seasons of Friends are on Netflix.
Yeah,
that '70s show is another one.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that '70s show. I thought I really liked that '70s show.
But that was another one where they got just like a bunch of kind of
unknown people. Everybody was unknown.
Were the best people for the job and
Fun
made
fact,
this weird.
It was
little...
one of my first auditions. Was for that '70s show. It was Ashton Kutcher ended up getting it. Nobody knows about that guy, but that was one of the first. And like there was no when they did that casting, there was no we need names or anything. It was like.
We need someone.
Let's just try
like
to get
this.
get the funniest people and the best people for the roles,
and do lots of chemistry reads.
There was a ton of chemistry tests.
Yeah.
So like that's what it was. You weren't because a lot of auditions you go in on. Sometimes you'll see names sitting there in the lobby with you, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm gonna lose to this guy." Like
depends.
Most of the time going forward, I would say
right.
after like 2005, that's what it was. It was like I remember going into an audition and seeing like Ryan Gosling sitting there. And I was like. He's gonna fucking get this.
You just walk out.
Almost.
You're like, peace.
Almost. Because
you're just like, whatever.
You're like, all right, there's, there was always down to like 3 or 4 of us. And it was just like, oh, sweet. Gosling, like, he's going to fucking get this. Like, he's more famous than everybody. And that's the way it was. But right before that era was, with that 70s show, it was just like, dude, it was all unknown people in the lobby that you were auditioning against. And you were like, all right, I got a shot. And they're going after the best people. And like, they cast the best people and they got the best show.
Right.
That's the way it should be. It is not that way now. Now, with sitcoms now, they're taking a huge star, building a show around that star, and then going back out. Like Kevin James was a movie guy for a while. That went away once Sandler stopped producing his movies. And Mall Cop 2. Paul Blart didn't make a gajillion dollars. He had to go back to TV. So I mean, they really went back to the well because that show is almost identical to King of Queens. It's identical.
What's scary is our son likes it.
He does not.
He was liking it, and I was like, "It's not good.
Don't watch Kevin Can Wait.
This isn't going to be like your
Don't
comedy.
Watch Kevin Can Wait.
Yeah. This isn't going to be like the jokes that you say at school.
Yeah, and then I would say for me personally, since there was no good sitcoms kind of after Friends, I started going out super weird, like Adult Swim.
Yeah.
To look for shit where I was like, typically I was like, I don't I didn't know. I don't like cartoons. Oh, there's not cartoons anymore. There's cool shit on there. Yeah. Children's Hospital was the jam. I love Eric Andre's show. Like it was weird fucking shows.
Back in the day, is like Mr. Show.
Yeah.
Mr. Show was
Mr.
one
Show
of the
Bob and Dave on HBO. Yeah.
Yeah, which was like
great show.
Yeah. The weird starting to be like weird shows.
Yeah, and I remember that was our underground thing where it was like, hey, you watch Mr. Show? No, what the fuck is Mr. Show? And if they didn't know, you were like, this guy's not fucking cool. Yeah. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah.